Let's start off today here with some purple. This is just a soft purple, kind of grayed it down a little bit. Now, here's what I've done. I've created a basic sketch. There's my barn, little road, maybe some logs with snow over it, and background trees. And I placed some clear gel and white just over the sky area. And it just helps us to blend our colors. You could do it in the snow. I don't really like it in the snow. Too much blending. And of course, if you're enjoying this and you'd like to see more, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. All right, let's start right up here at the top and we'll just work our way across. I want a very misty sky today. There, that works. I like that little bit of blue at the top, but it's just gonna fade down into our clear gel and white mix, which actually did end up kind of muddling with some of my sketch. So it's kind of got that hazy look to it, and I like that. Actually, while I'm up here, let me take these trees, they're not trees, they're just a sketch, but I think I'm gonna turn them into part of the painting, which is really cool. That's one thing about sketching with oil paint versus like a charcoal pencil or something. You can just integrate your sketch right into the painting. And it works. It's kind of fun. There we go. So look at that. Instantly I have misty background trees. Oh, it looks good. That is very interesting. You know what? Now would be a really good time to take a look at the paintings that you guys did of my last one. So now I'm going to create a little tree, well, a large tree, one of the couple of large trees that we're going to actually do today. But it's very soft and misty, as you can clearly see. I'm using pretty much just the same color I used to sketch, which was just a purple gray, because that fits with the painting. You always want to sketch with something that fits with the painting. You would not want to sketch with something like bright red or blue or green in a winter scene. So whatever you do, choose a color that works. You know, these misty colors actually are more difficult to paint with, if you can imagine that, because just the tiniest change to your color makes really a tremendous impact up here. So you'll want to stop more frequently and look at your painting from about 6 feet away. And that 6-foot viewing distance really makes your color shifts and the different things that are happening in your painting and the values, it makes them stand out better. When you're up close, it's very difficult to see things like if something's a little bit off. Plus, that's about, 6 feet away is about where your viewers are going to see it. You could do a little more, a little less. It does, that's kind of it's just a number. But I think it's a good place to start. Look at it from across the room, depending on your room, right? There we go. And you get a very good idea of how it's going to look like on a wall. I like that soft tree. And we'll do some soft evergreens as well. Same idea. Just very misty. I think that's going to be so pretty in a painting like this. So now let's mix up just I'm going to mix up a soft orange color. A little bit of our purple is okay in there. That will help soften it and help make it feel like it's part of the painting. This is going to be a red barn, but kind of a weathered red barn. Not just like, whoa, there's red contrasting against all of kind of the cold colors. So that's why I included the purple to help kind of link everything together. And also, we'll just, it won't stand out and feel out of place. You could do a red one if you really want to, but I like the idea of this is supposed to be red, it's just rusty. That's all I'm trying to say. Oh, I made that too hard. There we go. That looks good. Maybe just a little, I'm just changing it up a little as we go. A little more yellow, just a golden color here and there. I think that's pretty to work these colors in your underpainting. We'll probably wipe this all off before we highlight it so that we don't get mud. That would be a good idea, don't you think? There. I like that. And then we're going to transition into something a little darker here on the left. And it's good to go ahead and build your details in, even in the underpainting. It makes a big difference. Will make your painting experience so much easier, and you won't have to worry about, trying to make it up in the highlight section. All you have to do is plop on your highlight, and you're good to go. You're going to have a nice painting. There. Might as well get the shadows in under the eaves of the barn as well, and just get everything looking good. Yeah, we can work with this. It's pretty, isn't it? It doesn't even have to be perfect yet. You can really refine this shape as you go. Things like this have a tendency to change as you highlight and shade. Nice. There's a little extra shed back here. We'll go ahead and paint that in a similar way. Make sure you get that done at the same time so you don't have to go back and redo it or do it again with all those colors. Well, next I'm gonna mix up here just a soft purple color, this filbert brush, of course, and I'm just gonna scrub, this is dry, I'm just gonna scrub this blue, or this purple, this blue, white, and red mix around. Don't touch the barn until you're done with this, because you don't want to get that muddy brown into this. This will not, it'll not look great. Let's not do that. You know what? It's okay to be sparing, and it's okay to have some dry spots. You can fill those in with a lighter blue or white when you go to highlight. Speaking of highlight, I think this is going to be kind of a plains area there. Something that's a little more, I don't know, a little more flat. I don't know why that was hard to think of, but that's okay. Yeah, this looks good. This looks really good. Just go right up into those soft trees with this snow. You can really just blend it together. I think the softer and mistier this painting is, the more interesting it is. I think that's one of its strong points is the softness and mistiness of it. There we go. And see, it really pays to have that sketch on there in a color that just doesn't matter if it mixes, so you don't have to worry about it. Now it's time to detail out this little barn here. Honestly, the biggest thing you can do is just adding shadows and contrast in the face of the barn. It's really, really good. You can see I added a door and window, which is pretty standard. Got to have a door and window. There we go. By limiting the first coat of paint here, this sort of stuff goes on so easy. If you did not limit that first coat of paint, this would not be very easy at all. In fact, you'd probably run into mud, and I would say, detailing in oils while everything is wet can be quite a challenge if you don't just really restrict yourself on that first coat. Just get as little as possible on there, and you're gonna have a much, much easier time, and you're gonna actually enjoy it. It's gonna be fun instead of difficult. You know what, if you get this background right, you really don't have to know how to paint a barn. You can just start adding little details following this painting here, and you will get a nice result. There. I like that. I like that. We don't need a whole lot more, honestly. I think that's maybe even a little too much in some areas. So what you can do is, if you want to, you can just come back here and get a little bit more of our kind of barn highlight color, if you can even call it that. There really isn't a highlight going on there yet. But anyway, we'll get that color. It looks something like that. On my little 1/4 inch flat, you could use 3/4 brush, detail around, doesn't matter. And just lay on a little more of this. Not too much. Make sure you got plenty of red in it, and just take your time. There, see that? Just slightly enhancing this. It's slight, but that's okay. The more layers you get here, the more opportunity for mud. So don't do this unless you feel like you need to, and be kind of deliberate where you put it. Don't just play around here without any idea where you're going. if that makes sense. There we go. But anyway, all that being said, it doesn't take but just a few minutes to kind of get some pretty little details going. You got a really nice, I just love the way this barn stands out against this background. What a contrast of the warm and cool. It's good stuff. How about gotta get a little highlight back here on this barn. So now I've got a very, very subtle pink, mostly white, on 3/4 brush. I'm gonna highlight the snow, and I'm gonna finalize the snow before adding my rocks and trees, because I don't want the brown to get into the highlight color, so it makes a difference. I think this is gonna be a much easier way to do it. And this is not something I always do. A lot of the times I'll go ahead and do the brown, and then I'll go back over it with the white, and then I'll get some mixing and I have to deal with it. But I'm gonna try it this way. And I think we both might learn something. It's always fun to try new things. Don't ever get tired of trying new things. There we go. Yeah, see, look, I can do anything here that I want without having to worry about it getting muddy. The worst case scenario is that it becomes a light purple, and I was very sparing with the light purple, so that's not an issue. So I'm liking the way that this is going to work out, and just like before, Do the barn area absolutely last. The more you touch it, the softer it gets, so you know you can do your blending just with the 3/4 brush as it runs out of paint. Why not? Why not? Let's get a little bit in this snow field as well. There we go. I'm sure that's where the farmer has his crops, or it's kind of just a lowland, maybe kind of a wet area. You can tell it's different, and that's very good because it adds wonderful variety. Bring that up just a little. Okay, that works. That works. It's okay to get excited. It's a good thing to get excited. I think it is so important. If you can't get excited about your own paintings, you're missing out on half the fun. Get excited and be happy with them. I haven't said this in a while. It's great to be happy with your paintings. You can be your own cheerleader and you can be pleased even when it doesn't turn out right. It is okay. And it's okay to display your painting with its imperfections. I do. And it's okay. And you know what? You learn and you get better each painting, don't you? And I think it keeps you from burning out if you're able to just say, you know what, I did a good job. It's not perfect, but I did a good job. So that's what I try to tell people. I think it helps. Maybe it's just me. Who knows? Now I'm going to pretty much repeat the same step, but this time with the detail round brush. And what this is going to do is it's just a little more delicate, a little more controlled than the bigger 3/4 brush. This is the detail round, and I think that it's just going to help me get a little extra highlight, just where I want it. You don't want it everywhere. At least I don't want it everywhere, because that's going to draw your eye just to too many different places. I'm trying to only put it here toward the barn, toward the middle of the painting. And that's very, very common for oil or any kind of painting. So oil painting, any painting, very common for any painting, is to try to bring your viewer's eye into the middle by extra textures and contrast and detail toward the middle. So you just naturally want to go there because it's more interesting. And I'm not sure about this, but I maybe won't smooth this out quite as much. Sometimes snow just has to be smooth and there's no choice to it. It just doesn't look good if it's not. But sometimes you can glop it on a little bit. So we're going to experiment with maybe leaving some of it just a little thicker. I don't know if it's going to look good. So I may just, the next step we may come back and say, good news, I just smushed it all away. So I don't know. Either way, we'll see. I guess you'll know in just a second. But I just like this. I like this. This is fun and exciting. This is certainly not a difficult subject, but it's one that you can definitely play around with and do some different techniques. Now I'm going to take some brown and black. Actually, I'm going to throw some red into that just to warm it up. And that way, if it mixes with the rest of this painting, I just think it'll mix a little better. All right, here we go. Let's start doing those dark parts that I didn't want to do before. There we go. Stick in just a little, I guess this is wood, if I had to make a guess. This is wood, but this is anything the viewer wants it to be. It could be fence with just stuff piled up on it and then covered in snow. It does not make a whole lot of difference to the painting. So we're not going to worry about it. But there you go. Okay, that works. Doesn't look like much, but hopefully it will. I guess we'll find out. All right, here we go. Let's get a little more here. That's just enough to indicate, hey, there is something under there. Okay, how about just a tree here? These trees are really pretty straightforward and honestly simple. These trees are straight up, no big deal once you get the hang of them. Once you get the hang of them, they really just work. So, if you need help practicing your trees, we've got all sorts of different lessons, and just about every lesson seems to have a tree in it, unless you're painting an ocean. But we even have technique series on trees if you need extra help. That's a good place to start if you're learning. There. And there's virtually nothing up here, so there's not a lot of mixing going on. Well, now I'm adding limbs to the tree. It's kind of a blue. I guess I'd rather have more red in that color. I think it'll actually look better. Certainly will look better if it mixes with when it mixes with the white, right? There we go. just a nice evergreen. There, like I said, just almost nothing. This is virtually dry. And that's why this is possible. This technique that I'm using here is a little different. So I'm kind of smooshing it instead of tapping it. But I'm not smooshing it like I usually do with the evergreen. I'm almost trying to pull these little evergreen needles. I'm using an old filbert brush, and yes, it matters. You could use a brand new fan brush and get the same effect, but it's all frayed out and just it's on its last leg, so it works perfect for this. Don't throw away your brushes. You know, some of your oldest brushes can give you very unique effects. Don't throw them away. That is one thing. It is okay to be a hoarder of brushes. You never know when it might come in handy. There. So see that? And I'm allowing it to just kind of spread across this surface. It's not going to be muddy. There's nothing there for it to mix with. I'm really excited about that. It's a little different. And it kind of gives us a different effect or look as I try to mush those two words together. There. Some growing from the top here could be interesting. And again, this is it's kind of a purple color there. Doesn't look like it, but it is. And I like that. I think I like the way that that's looking as it gets a little bit lighter. It mixes with things around it. Yep. Ooh, that's interesting. It is interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing the snow on the branches. That should be pretty cool. Now, as you can see here, I've got just this tree kind of coming forward over the barn. I was actually thinking about doing that here for a little while. Decided to go ahead and do it because it creates a little better layering. The barn, otherwise, it's just literally nothing in front of it, nothing pushing it back. It's okay, but this is better. even if it's not, you know, like a lot better, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Even if it doesn't do much, I like the way that it just is subtle, kind of pushes it back on this edge. That's all it is, subtle. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes you don't need to overdo things in order for it to look good. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. It just looks a little overgrown back in here, and I think that's more interesting. Oops, I messed up my little area there. That's okay. Oh, by the way, we didn't even talk about this. I'm using my 1-inch brush. I know what you're thinking. Why are you using your 1-inch brush? Well, if you use just the top corner, you can actually kind of get away with just touching it a little bit, hitting it and kind of giving it a little pull, and you end up getting little frosty leaves. It's a good thing for frost, and it's also a good thing for like oceans. Splash in the ocean, it works pretty well for that too. Yeah, see that? I think it's just because these bristles are so individual. Yeah, that works. That you just get some nice texture. That's all it is. Nice texture. Smooth it out. If you get too much paint, just smooth it out. More subtle as you go up the tree. We don't want it to be distracting. But I do actually think that looks better. Ooh, disappearing into the mist up there, and I think that works. You have to be careful. I was getting a little bit of my red barn into my tree. Don't want to do that. You can use the bottom of the brush to kind of just blend. Nice. And then, whoops, we messed this area up. I guess I'll have to come back and just fix it. Oh, don't you just love painting? You can just fix anything. Well, just about anything. Nice. That works. That definitely works. I like the way that pushes it back just a bit. What do you think? Should we play around with that a little more? Why not? We're just having fun today. This is not really planned out, not this area at least. We're just kind of going with what I feel like works. Here's a little more blue, frosty shadow blue colors. See how that makes a difference though? And all of a sudden, I think that really works. Now I'm going to pick up a nice soft purple, this time maybe a little more to the blue side, just to change it slightly. I think that would look interesting. And we're going to finally get up here and work on this. See, I've just been kind of dabbling around the whole painting, not doing much, but just tweaking things here and there. There you go. It's kind of fun to do that sometimes. Sometimes that's what your painting needs every once in a while, you know, just take a few minutes, look around, and just make these little fine adjustments. It's one of those things you should do, you know, maybe after you take a break and then come back and then do those fine adjustments. That would be a good idea. Sometimes just staring at your painting for an hour or 2 or 3 or however long you choose, you know, that can get, you can get to where you can't see it, if that makes sense. So sometimes it's good to get away from it. There we go. I like that. See that just kind of building up these layers of snow. You can put snow where there's no limbs if you want. Watch us, see that? Bring those out. You can do that. Hey, that works. Looks very frosty. I like this. I like this, and we'll maybe highlight a little. Well, we'll definitely highlight a little, but there won't be much because you're not going to see that highlight against this white sky, or very light sky, I should say. You're not going to see it, so there won't be much. But we'll have a little. Now we can finish out this painting here with the liner brush. It's a good way to finish, isn't it? Get some nice details. Really bring some of this to life. Sometimes your paintings really could use that extra detail, and sometimes they really don't need it as much. This one's somewhere in between, I would say. It's really not bad. It's very solid, but the detail, I think, will benefit it quite a bit. So I'm going to definitely be doing that. There we go. I like that. That little branch is interesting though, isn't it? A couple of intersecting limbs like that. Maybe something, yeah, coming out. That works. That works. We'll put some snow over that with the liner brush as well. But while we got this on the brush, let's go ahead and add in some more limbs and branches from the trees. Nice. Oh yeah, that definitely works. You don't need to go crazy. Kind of just less is more approach, I think, when it comes to this. It really gives it that nice detailed look, doesn't it? We can do grass really with just maybe a little softer color, but we totally do grass. And maybe we should just have it poking out of the snow, but for the most part, I'm focused here on the tree limbs. I'm going to do the grass the same way, and as you can see, I've kind of got a softer, almost an orange color going. Soft grayish orange. And I like that. I think it works for grass. It's nice to have a little color. There we go. You do as much or little of grass as you like of the grass. Yep. I think it adds something though. I really do. Let's go right over. Especially like stuff like this tree branch thing that I did here. That totally works. See that? I like that grass. And if you need, honestly, if you need help with grass, I think maybe one of the best things to do would be practice these little liner brush strokes. You just pull them right up, practice them on a scrap canvas, and you get a good feel for how they're supposed to go. Then when you get to actually doing it in a painting, well, you'll know what to do. It makes it really easy to practice. And you'll be good at grass, and they'll just flow right out of the liner brush. You won't even have to worry about it. There, see how that all looks better? It's actually more interesting having kind of this overgrown. This is clearly not all that deep because it's so lumpy. So it's showing the contour of the ground underneath, right? So it's clearly not all that deep. This works. Helps to kind of show, hey, yeah, it's not that deep. I actually think the painting makes more sense with grass. Excellent. Well, anyway, there you go. Just wanted to show you how to do it. All right, well, I think we're done. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching.